How do we invite people to participate and join us in these difficult times? How do we learn to become intentional about making connections that used to happen naturally? We live in a context that even before COVID hit, church attendance across the nation had been declining. According to the Pew Charitable Trust, who researches such things, in the early 70s, only 11% said they never attend religious services of any kind. By the early 2000s, that number had risen to 18%. And the most recent studies before the COVID outbreak had risen to 28% of Americans say they don't attend religious services at all. So the numbers were falling even before the churches shut down. What can we expect as churches reopen in various ways? We, as a denomination, we're part of even a greater change in just how people define themselves in this country. The changes in the American religious landscape are broad-based. The Christian share of the population is down, and the religious nuns, N-O-N-E-S, have grown across multiple demographic groups: white people, black people, and Hispanics, men and women in all regions of the country, and among college graduates and those with lower levels of educational attainment. Religious nuns are growing faster among Democrats and Republicans, though their ranks are swelling in both partisan coalitions. And though the religiously unaffiliated are on the rise among younger people and most groups of older adults, their growth is most pronounced among young adults. Since the early 70s, those who identify as Christian fell from 89% to 71%. Those who claimed no religion rose from 6 to 22%. And those who reclaimed other religion held steady at 5%. Now, Unitarian Universalism is technically an other religion, but our ranks also include Christians and those who claim no religion. But we, too, have been declining. In 1970, 238,136 adults and children were part of UUA congregations. By 2020, that number had fallen to 187,689. That is a loss of 22% over 50 years. The number of adults has declined by 7%. The number of children has declined by 53%. I give you all these statistics not because I know you just cherish pie charts and graphs and math. I give you this information to let you know our context. For the most part, all types of churches tend to be growing older and smaller. Now, this congregation has bucked the trend so far. Starting with a handful of people at the turn of the millennium, we grew to over 100 in 2020. Then COVID hit, and we're unsure of how many they are. Our attendance is down because we requested that people could stay home and watch online if they felt safer. But we're not really sure why. Some people may be staying away because of COVID. Others have moved away. Others have simply learned to enjoy Sunday mornings off. Others may feel very positive about us, and we have people who are still pledging but aren't attending, and they don't appear to be on the Zoom. So what's holding us together? It's hard to know. Last week we had about 50 people in attendance, and then plus 17 engagements on Facebook during the past week, and usually only a few actually catch us live at the Zoom broadcast. So we are all over the place. If we only engage those who come through our doors, we are certain to shrink. But the solution of how to reach those beyond our doors is elusive. Many older members simply do not enjoy online church. They have told us so. Even if they are comfortable with the technology, they say, it's just not the same. Millennials and Generation X are comfortable going online, but they don't tend to join any particular group. They have learned growing up to surf the web, moving from site to site, and then moving from wave to wave and beach to beach. They have many associations, but few memberships. So how do we embrace those who might only ever want to be merely associated with us, but never want to join? How do we include people with that sense of social engagement? The fastest growing churches in America are evangelical churches that cater to Hispanic immigrants. More Hispanic people now belong to Pentecostal churches than to the Catholic Church. That has been a major shift in the past 20 years. I doubt few of us speak Spanish, but I'm sure that some of you do. But I highly doubt that any of you plan to become Pentecostal in the next week. What does this congregation need to survive? And what can we build in order to thrive? To survive, we simply could hunker down. We could say, we serve 50 people, we can do that all with volunteers, and we can be happy, and we'll enjoy each other's company, because you did that for 15 years, and you know how to do it, and it was wonderful, and it served a lot of purposes, and you created a family. But as you started to grow, you started hiring ministers, and then occasionally RE people, and there's just a sense of trying to figure out how we can serve a wider audience. And so when you're serving a wider audience, it takes more effort. DUA asks us to consider these questions as we reopen. Who are we as a congregation called to be right now? And has our calling changed since March 2020? Acknowledging that every person in our congregation might have contact with many people outside of our congregation, who is part of the we are considering in our decision making? If we gather while there's still risk to some members of our community, what would be the social, emotional, and spiritual costs of gathering? Who would we exclude? How will this fit the mission and our identity? How could those at risk be included? Here are some of my answers. Please think about what your answers are. Right now, this congregation is called to provide for those who have followed the protocols and who can gather safely. I believe there must be some reward for people who have behaved well. We cannot treat the vaccinated and the masked the same way as those who have chosen to take unnecessary risks. We need to be realistic about the risks of the people in this room. But we also have a responsibility to care for those who are unable to attend and those who choose not to attend. And I am aware, because of the years of friendship that exist among some of you, that many home visits have taken place and caring for people who are ill and caring for one another. But this has largely been along the informal friendship line. We don't currently officially have a care committee. We just have a lot of caring people who are doing a lot of caring, and that's wonderful. And that's celebrated. But what are we as an institution doing? How can we coordinate care as a congregation and remember those who might not be as well connected with friends? How do we help those who've been separated to feel part of this community? And right now, we also have a duty to share our liberal message of love and justice and inclusion. We cannot let voices of anger overwhelm voices of peace. We have live services, and they are also available online. Are we actively sharing the content of our services with others who may need it or enjoy it? I doubt that we're being evangelical. How many of you have shared a Facebook post of last week's service? Simple things that you do whenever you see a joke you like on Facebook, we could be doing as, wait for it, evangelical UUs. Our calling has changed since March 2020, and it's still evolving. We need to be experimental. We need to try new things and evaluate them and see if they serve our mission. We need to evaluate whether we can continue doing things the way they've always been done. Where can we build on our strength? What pattern of behaviors are holding us back? What are new ways to build community? Do the small groups that were so valuable in the times when we couldn't gather in groups larger than 10 need to be restarted and changed in some way so that we can outreach and contact more people? Can we change, which was a patchwork based on our social hunger, into something that spreads our message of love and peace and justice and community around New Bern? We need to define who we are. Are we only the safe and vaccinated? Or are we reaching to a larger community? Are we simply a congregation of boomers and the silent generation? Or are we a group that reaches out to all ages? Electronic church has less barriers to younger people, and younger people also tend to be more ethnically diverse than our congregation. When I look at this, I can tell you that it all feels overwhelming. It seems that there are fewer of us, yet we need to do more just to stay in the same place. And to grow requires even more work. I don't know about you, but I already feel tired. These have been emotional months. We feel the grief from knowing that 1 in 500 Americans have died. And some of those deaths have been close friends and relatives. Our lives have been disrupted. We have not been able to travel to see grandchildren or friends. And these have been months of anger because of all the mismanagement and the resistance to care. And those who believe that the virus is a hoax have stepped up their efforts to destroy democracy and spread racial and gender-based hate. While empathetic people have hunkered down, the sociopaths have been acting out. So our first step is to care. Care for our inner circle. And as we get stronger, move to care for an ever-widening circle. Let us build on our strengths, recognize our strengths, and then let our strengths overflow. We cannot do everything at once. Let us take what we are doing well and do it a little better. We have the strength of a caring community, and we need to be a little more intentional about how we build it and extend it. We have the strength of the UU principles, and we must be explicit in expressing them to our friends and neighbors. Because in times when evil is spreading, silence equals consent. Be a force for positive good in your world. And we have the strength of forgiveness. Forgiveness keeps us from being stuck in old patterns. While we protect ourselves from those who seek to do us harm, we cannot be bound by their agenda. Let us live by our own agenda, by having a clear purpose, so we can hurdle the opposition and move forward. We can forgive the hurdles for being hurdles. We do not need to gather each one and carry them to the finish line. We need to go and move forward and hope that they see what they're missing. We do not fight evil. Don't wrestle with a pig in the mud, because the pig enjoys it. Run through the mud onto higher ground. Overcome evil by doing good. We mourn what is past. We are uncertain about what may be. But presently, look around. Look around this room and appreciate what is. By looking for the good, we can create what is better. Tell the people you know how important they are. Look at the empty chairs and think of who you need to talk to this week to let them know that they are still part of this community. Plant seeds of hope. We do not know exactly what will grow, but we must plant something. We put in a hearing loop. That makes us more accessible to people who have hearing aids. Has it caused a rush of people with hearing aids coming to seek out and convert to Unitarian Universalism? Probably not. Churches with steps need to build ramps. Because they could say, well, we don't need to put a handicap ramp there because no handicap people ever come here. But if they put up a ramp, they just might. During COVID quarantine, we are forced to upgrade our ability to project ourselves out into the world. And so we still have that capability. The immediate response is that people who used to watch on Zoom are now coming to church. And we haven't really gained a wide audience out there. But that potential is there, and we have the infrastructure to build on that. And there are things that we haven't even imagined that we could do that would make this place be a community in a way not like before, but in a way that addresses the needs of people who are able to get out and those who are not. If one day finds you weary, take comfort and time to rest. If one day finds you angry, use that energy for good. Care for one another, and we can grow stronger. I leave you with lyrics from a singer, Janelle Monáe, a song called Stronger. And it's from a Netflix film called We the People. She writes, most of my friends want a little peace. Some of my friends want a little solace. Even when we struggle and we get kicked down, we pick each other up with a little polish. All my friends want a legacy, don't want to be left out. Every time you think we get a little weak, we get a little bit stronger. Some of my friends taught me how to dream. Some of my friends taught me how to fight. Even those times when we don't agree, we know we're all trying to save the same day. We don't want life without the liberty. Not going to be left out. Every time you think you got the best of me, we get back a little stronger. We the people. We the people. The people getting stronger. Every time you think we get a little weak, we get a little bit stronger. And I say, connect with those who give you strength. And share your strength with those who need it. Save your strength from those who deplete it. As we grow in strength, we may grow in numbers. But remember, there's always more than one way to grow. Our numbers may be small, remain small, but we'll grow in dedication. We'll grow in commitment. But as we grow in strength, that might lead to a growth in numbers. And we may discover ways to grow beyond our current understanding. Seek to find a blessing, or seek to be a blessing. And always may we bless and be blessed.
Thank you, Reverend Charlie. To those who are watching from a distance, we feel your presence and hope for a day when we can be together again. This concludes the live stream portion of our service. Our offering today will be preceded by these words of Braddock Lovely. Let there be an offering to sustain and strengthen this place, which is sacred to so many of us, a community of memory and of hope, for we are now the keepers of the dream. Our offertory is climbing up a mountain.
Been 2 years since I saw a dark-eyed girl. We met in the city, now we're another world. Drove a winding highway, mountain riding clouds, looking for sweet Carol in Asheville, Carolina. Climbing up a mountain, the road is on a hill. Will I see you again? I hope someday I will. We went to my home church on a village street. After church was over, we went to the woods. Ruth was a big talk with Ruth was sleeping long. Came to Craggy Gardens, I played you a song. Climbing up a mountain, the road went over hill. Will I see you again? I hope someday I will. Well, I wish I could bring back in Michigan. We walk along the lake shore and be together again. We'll be see Lake Huron, we'll be all quite still. Will I see you again? Oh, someday I will. Climbing up a mountain, the road is on the hill. Will I see you again? Oh, someday I will. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.